Yo, what's going on everyone? So this week in GTA 5 Online, they finally added back the Panther Statue Primary Target during the Cayo Perico Heist, and the best part is, upon your first time starting this heist, you'll get the Panther Statue 100%. So in today's video, I will be showing you the fastest and also easiest way to complete that entire Cayo Perico Heist finale with the Panther Statue as your primary target to get that over $2 million once we complete it in under 10 minutes. To get things started, you first need to own a Kosatka because once you own one, you want to enter inside, go up to the heist planning board, and then click right on the D-pad to pay that $100,000 setup cost. From there, you want to start the Gather Intel mission, which is the first mission you always want to complete for the Cayo Perico Heist that lets you know what all of the loot is that we will be stealing during the finale. So once you start the Gather Intel mission, you'll simply need to go over to that location where there is going to be a smuggler plane, and once you stole that smuggler plane and flew it all the way to the Cayo Perico Island, here's what we need to do next. So the first thing we want to do once we are on the Cayo Perico Island, just like I am here, is to search both areas. First of all, the airstrip, which is right here, and also the North Dock, which is just over here. Because at both of these locations will be a bunch of secondary target loot that we could possibly steal if we have good ones to steal, of course, once we scope it all out. The reason I love doing this is because once I scope out the airstrip and also North Dock, whichever area had the most amount of coke piles is the area I will be looting during the finale. In this case, I only found one pile of coke over here at the airstrip, and once I scoped out the North Dock, as you can see, I don't even have one pile of coke, which is insane. I didn't even get any good loot over here. That's fine though, because I did get that one other pile over at the airstrip, which is the one that I will be robbing, and most of the time, the best case scenario for secondary target loot to get is 2 piles of coke, since that will fill up your bag 100% full. But if you only got one pile of coke like I did at either location, we will have to be stealing the other secondary target loot, which is the weed and also cash, to fill up the rest of our bag once we get the first pile of coke. Which is just fine. Just keep in mind, if you did get 2 piles of coke, you'll be earning around $100,000 more than I did during my finale since I only got one pile. Anyway, once you finish scoping out both of those areas, we can now make our way over to the communications tower, which the fastest way over there is taking my exact route right here, going over this part of the mountain. Just make sure that once you go over it, that guard on the tower isn't looking towards your direction, since if he is, once you go over that hill, he'll automatically be alerted and kick you back to where you first started on this island. Assuming you didn't alert him though and went over that part of the mountain at the perfect time, you now want to follow exactly where I'm going along this entire part of the road, behind this camera, and then up this next part of the mountain, which is where the communications tower is always located at. Then once at the communications tower, you want to search the entire tower from bottom to top until you find the signal box. Once you find that signal box, click right on the D-pad to perform the really simple hack, and once you hack it, we can now see the camera footage inside of the main compound to see what our primary target is, which, as I said, you'll get that Panther statue 100% as the primary target once we see what is in the basement. That is assuming that this was your first time launching the Cayo Perico Heist, because as I said, you'll only get the Panther statue as the primary target 100% as long as it was your first time completing the Cayo Perico Heist this week. Once you scope the primary target, which was that Panther statue, you next want to scope out the office cameras, because sometimes inside this office will be 1 or 2 paintings which you could also rob as a secondary target loot rather than the other loot that wasn't the coke. Because in my opinion, the best secondary target to loot during this heist is only going to be those coke piles and also the paintings. If you can't get either one of those, then of course the other loot will do, which is cash and also weed, but that is like the last resort. Anyway, once you scoped out the entire compound, we are now ready to leave this island and start doing the rest of our setups. But in this video, I won't be showing you how to complete each individual setup, only because I recently made a full in-detailed guide how to complete the entire Cayo Perico Heist finale as a solo player while also completing the Elite Challenge that also includes all of those setups. So if you want to see that video for yourself, make sure you click the video that you see right now on the top right corner of your screen, or you could also click the video that you see in the description. Don't worry though, because I will be just cutting straight to it and showing you exactly which setups you want to complete. Take a look right here. For the approach vehicle, you want to select the boat long fin. Then for the equipment preps, you want to complete the plasma cutter prep and also the fingerprint cloner prep, as well as the cutting torch prep. Then for the very last prep, that is going to be the weapon loadout prep, which I always recommend selecting the aggressor loadout since that one is the best. After you completed all of those preps, we are now ready to complete the finale, so let's get into these heist settings. And as always, we are going to be doing this entire finale solo, just as I did for all of the preps, since this entire Cayo Perico heist is solo friendly. Anyway, for the approach vehicle, you want to select that long fin. Then for the infiltration point, you want to select where your secondary target loot was best at, which for me was the main dock. But if your secondary target loot was better over at the north dock, then of course set it to the north dock. But anyway, after that, go down to where it says compound entry point and select the drainage tunnel. Then go down to where it says escape point and set it to the main dock, which is the one that I always select. And for the time of day, you want to put it to daytime. And the very last thing we want to do is go down to where it says weapon loadout and make sure you have suppressors on your weapon. Okay, so getting things started, the first thing we want to do is of course loot the secondary target loot that we scoped out during the gather intel mission, which as I said, I will be looting all of my secondary target loot over at the north dock. Anyway, the first thing we need to do is of course start stealing all of the secondary target loot to fill our loot bag 100% full, and as I said, my secondary target loot was better over at the airstrip, so that is where I am heading right now. Once over there, you want to start parking your boat longfin exactly how I did, backing it up into the sand and parking it just like that. That way, once we come back to our boat, it is going to be very simple for us to leave. Like I showed you during the gather intel mission, I didn't even get any paintings. I pretty much have to loot all of my secondary target loot over here at the airstrip, even though I don't have those 2 piles of coke, which is completely fine since in this one hangar will be a lot of secondary target loot, but you first want to take out that guard at the front door entrance. Once you take out that guard, we are now able to enter inside the hangar and start looting all of the secondary target loot inside here, which I only have 1 pile of coke, so I will be stealing that first. Then for the rest of my bag, I will be filling it with cash and also weed. Just to give you some perspective, that 1 pile of coke filled up my bag 50% full, but once I picked up the entire pile of cash, that only filled it up another 25%, so I still needed to pick up some more of the weed upstairs. Once I did pick up the rest of that secondary target loot upstairs and filled my bag 100% full, we are now ready to leave and start heading back over to the longfin. And this is why I said to park it the exact way I told you to, because once we get back over to the boat, it is literally as simple as you swimming a little bit away from the land, and then you'll see the boat right here, which you could then enter inside of and drive this boat over to the other side of the island, which is right behind the main compound where the drainage tunnel entrance is located at. Because once you are over here behind Rubio's main compound, you'll then see the drainage tunnel right below in the ocean, so go down there and you want to click right on the D-pad once you are at the grate to begin cutting this grate open with our cutting torch. Once you did cut that grate open though, you want to swim through the entire drainage tunnel until you get to the very end, then click right on the D-pad to go through the entrance. Once through that entrance and inside the main compound, from here on out you pretty much just want to follow exactly where I'm going through this little hallway and then take a left here. Then you want to go over this part of the railing, and once over the railing you want to wait at the bottom of these stairs until that guard in front of us on top of those other stairs starts walking away. Once he is walking away like that, we can then start going up those stairs that he was just in front of, up these next 2 flights of stairs, and then at this 3rd flight of stairs you want to wait until that guard in front of us goes right in front of you and you want to smack him in the face immediately. After you did that, we are now able to enter inside of the main office, which we want to first of all open this secret safe to steal all of the cash inside here, which is around $40,000 to $80,000. It is completely random. Then from there we can now go up to the keypad to perform the really simple fingerprint cloner hack that allows us to go down into the main vault. As you could see, I just hacked it open successfully. It took me around 20 seconds. Once you did, enter inside the elevator and click right D-pad to go downstairs into the main vault. And you first want to burn this lock open with the cutting torch to enter inside the main area inside this vault where the primary target is located at. And here it is, the main reason we are doing this Cayo Perico heist this week. We have the Panther statue as the primary target, which is the most valuable primary target during the Cayo Perico heist, but it sadly is only available during special weeks like this once they make it available. And even when they do make it available, it is only available 1 time, which is pretty sad. But anyway, once you do steal this 1 primary target, take a look at this value. As you could see, it is worth around $1.8 million. It used to be worth a little bit more money, but sadly with the recent nerf on the Cayo Perico heist, they nerfed all of the prices of the primary targets and also the secondary targets, which is pretty sad. If you want to see more details on that nerf that they did on this Cayo Perico heist, make sure you click the video that you see in the description because I did make a video going over all of those nerf changes. Anyway, to exit this compound, it is very simple. You first want to wait right here at the bottom of these stairs until that guard in front of us walks past, and also that juggernaut walks past as well. Once they do, you want to follow where I'm going over this railing and then up these 2 flights of stairs where the main compound entrance is at. Once over here, you want to click right on the D-pad to go through it. And once outside, you simply want to go up to this one guard in front of us to take him out and then get on the Manchez Scout. Once on the Manchez Scout motorcycle, you pretty much just want to follow where I'm going all the way to the ocean. That way we can swim out and complete this entire Cayo Perico heist by escaping the island. Best way to do this is launching yourself off of this entire cliff with the motorcycle also. That way you land in the ocean, and once in the ocean you want to swim all the way out until you swim over the whale bone, just like I did here, because once you are over the whale bones, the entire heist will finally finish. And once it did finish, once you went through the cutscene, here is how much money you'll get paid for passing the entire heist. Take a look. The potential take was $5.1 million. The actual take was $2,010,000. And of course, we complete the elite challenge, which is simply to complete this heist in under 15 minutes. Take a look, we did it in 10 minutes, having 0 hacks failed and also having completely full loot bags. We did all of that, which complete the elite challenge and got us an extra $50,000. So in total, we walked away with $2.06 million, almost $2.1 million with that Panther statue as the primary target, with also 2,500 RP on top. And yeah, this is pretty much the most amount of money you'll ever get paid from the Cayo Perico heist. Of course, with this Panther statue being the primary target, that is why we got paid this fat amount of money. And yeah, that is now going to be the end of today's guide. You officially know how to complete the entire Cayo Perico heist finale the fastest and also easiest way possible, while also completing the elite challenge with the Panther statue as the primary target. With all of that being said, if you went on to enjoy my video and you still haven't already, please do me a favor in return by going down below and dropping a like on the video before you click off. And of course, if you aren't, make sure you also hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I will see you all in my very next video. Peace.